Welcome back. And the inflation has remained steady in the month of Feb at just over 5%, but the food price is accelerated by 8.66%. To discuss more on the CPI print, Rohit Kumar Singh, Secretary at Ministry of Consumer Affairs, now joins us on the show. Mr. Singh, thank you so much for taking time. And the latest inflation data puts light on relatively high food prices and especially on vegetables. What do you think about these numbers?
We also keep a close watch on the inflation data, and I have the data in front of me. And compared to last 6 months, I think all the vegetables, potato, onion, tomato, have declined by 6%, 1.5%, and 22%. And I said decline. So, for example, compared to 33.5 6 months ago, onions are at 33. Compared to 40.5, tomatoes are at 31.6. So I don't see any challenge. I think despite the challenges of weather, despite the challenges of supplies and geopolitical conflicts, we have been able to manage the food inflation well. So there is no reason to worry on that account.
Mr. Singh, the other thing that's bothering food and agriculture and farmers is MSP, and many believe that it perhaps has served its purpose. It's not so impactful. And then there are protests on higher and mandatory MSPs that the farmers want. What is the fine balance that the government is planning to create with MSP and commodity prices?
I think government is very clear that MSP is here to stay, and MSP is the most important thing, most important mechanism to compensate the farmer for his input prices and other benefits. So there is no compromise on MSP at all. However, you must also realize that in some commodities where market prices are prevailing above the MSP, government is ensuring the farmer and buying at the market prices. I'll give you an example. For example, in tur dal, where our domestic production is 33 lakh tons and the consumption is 44 lakh tons, where we have to unnecessarily depend on imports. Under the direction of Honorable Prime Minister, we are now buying at market prices. So we are buying directly for the buffer from the farmer through NAFED and NCCF at the market prices, and we have been, despite some initial hiccups, we have succeeded. And this also gives a signal to the farmer that he will not be shortchanged, and government will give him or her due compensation. And this also incentivizes the farmer to grow such pulses more to reduce our dependence on imports and move towards Atmanirbharta, at least in pulses production.
Mr. Singh, I'll quickly jump up to pulses, and that has been a bit of a concern for the government because government has taken a lot of measures in various commodities. But when it comes to pulses, the prices have stubbornly stayed higher. How are you looking at the availability and imports?
The concerns with Mozambique were there for a short while due to one particular entity which had considerable influence with that government, and they were actually playing dirty. That has been resolved. So as we speak, the flow of pulses from East Africa and Myanmar is seamless. However, we must realize that in tur we import from East Africa and Myanmar, but in urad we are solely dependent on Myanmar. Almost 99% of our urad imports are from Myanmar. That is why for last about a year we have been working very proactively to diversify the risk and look at other geographies. And we have been engaging very intensely with Brazil, Argentina, and similar geographies, which are agro-climatically more suitable for production of such pulses. And as we speak, the flow of urad from Brazil has started. And till the time there is a gap between domestic production and domestic consumption, we would welcome the products from any geography because the import regime anyway is free and based on OGL. So to diversify the risk, we will look for other geographies, and we've started succeeding on that account as well.
Mr. Singh, most essential commodities, whether it's wheat, pulses we spoke about, rice, sugar, edible oils, have seen proactive action from the government. But how long do you think that these government measures will continue? Some people feel that it's only until elections.
So you have to look at the fact, you yourself use the term essential commodities. Now we have to realize why these are called essential, because they are essential for the existence of the people, and the availability and affordability of these are of supreme importance for the government. So if markets are behaving in a certain way that these things go out of hand and they become unaffordable, then government has to intervene, and it must intervene. And we have been intervening in these commodities. And because of all these supply side measures, we have been able to contain the prices. So we can't leave the citizens of this country to market forces, especially when it comes to essential commodities, because markets behave differently, and it is always a function of a benevolent government to take care of its citizens, and that we have been doing well.
And since the dependence on imports is so huge, Mr. Singh, India has in multiple treaties now with Asia and now also with Europe. Do you see India's commodity products, trade, and as we add more partners within, improve going forward?
The world is a global village. The trade has been happening, and it will further increase. So I think with the tariff regimes almost gone because of the WTO, I think standards have become the new non-tariff barriers. So we have to ensure, and there has been an ample focus on that, we have to ensure that the products manufactured in India are of adequate quality, so they are acceptable in the global markets, and vice versa. What is coming into our borders also has to be of quality so that our people do not suffer. I'll give an example of the toys. About a couple of years back, about 85% of the toys that were imported in the country were from China. But because of Honorable Prime Minister's directive that we cannot let substandard stuff come into our country, and we have to give boost to the domestic toy industry, because of standards, because of enforcement, now the wheel has turned full circle. Now 85% of the toys being sold in the country are made in India. And so by working on standards, by enforcing regimes that do not allow substandard products to enter the country, we have been managing the system well, and that is both good for the economy and for global trade, because once you start making quality products, the acceptability in global trade becomes more and is conducive for the growth of exports in the country.
I have one final question, Mr. Singh, and this is about India's future when it comes to in terms of commodity derivatives. I mean, we do realize that nearly 7 to 8 agri-commodities have been suspended in trade. That's because of inflation. So when you look at agri-commodities and ensuring that all stakeholders are on the same page, whether it's about farmers, traders and derivative markets, what's the government's stand on that?
I think before we venture into futures in any set of commodities, we have to look at how mature our system is. Our farmer is still vulnerable. Unless that system gets more robust and more mature, we cannot leave the farmer, at the risk of the futures trade. So I'm not sure it is impossible, but I think it will still take a while for this part of the system to be more robust and more mature, because otherwise it is very vulnerable, and we cannot leave the farmer's interest at the whims of a futures market which is still not very mature. So that's my personal view on this, and I think it will still take a while before this gets introduced here.
All right, we get that. Mr. Singh, as always, many thanks for joining us here at CNBC TV18 with a quite detailed analysis of what really the government is doing and the steps expected ahead as well. With that, it's a break on Halftime Report, but stay tuned because Business Lunch will take all the action forward.
Thank you for watching us on CNBC TV18. For all news and updates, subscribe to our YouTube channel and watch us on all social media platforms.